Hello and welcome to another episode of the Coffee Made Me Do It podcast. My name is Dario and today I had the great pleasure of hosting Thomas and Lola, the owners of Motors Coffee in Paris. This is a truly Parisian episode with us recording on the street outside of a lovely cafe called Kawa Coffee. People watching and conversing about coffee and the future of coffee. I am absolutely inspired by Thomas and Lola. I love their cafe. I was fortunate enough to do a pop-up with them while in Paris, and I really hope that you enjoy this insight into their approach and the reason why they are one of the best cafes in Europe. Here's Thomas and Lola. I'm sitting with Thomas and Lola from the very, very cool Motors Coffee in Paris, one of my absolute favorite cafes in the world. And yesterday I spent some time on bar with you guys and just having a great time with your team, serving coffee to the wonderful people of Paris and abroad. So many tourists around as well. So I think, this podcast is all about exploring motivation and passion in coffee and around coffee. But a really good place to start is with a little bit of background. I know that coffee wasn't where your career started. What were you guys doing before Motors?
Hello. What we were doing, we met at a concept store on Champs-Élysées. That was called Le 66, the 66, because it was at number 66 of Avenue des Champs-Élysées. And he was director, store manager, and I started as a sale, and I passed merchandising. And yeah, we met there, and Thomas really wanted to open a coffee shop. We weren't
already
together
at
the same time. At this time we weren't very together, and we started dating there, and I left the shop because it wasn't my thing, and Thomas left maybe 6 months, 1 year after me, and we started Motors Coffee together. Yeah.
Amazing. So how long ago was that?
It was wow.
That was 7 years ago.
No, more, because it's been 9 years we were together, so yeah, maybe 8 years ago.
The project started 7 years ago, and we to open it took us 1 year.
Yeah.
Okay,
To
amazing.
find a
To
place
find
and everything, it was a year.
I mean, you guys have the most amazing location between the shop itself, the bakery downstairs, and then the outside space. The streets is just incredible. It must be quite difficult.
We feel very lucky because when we first got the place, it wasn't like that.
Okay.
So it was just the town made some renovation in this part of the streets. So before it was just a small regular street, and just after we opened, the renovation started. And so it was quite hard because for 6 months there was constructions in front of us.
Oh my word!
But yeah, right now we're super happy because we have a sidewalk. The sidewalk is 7 meter long, so
amazing.
That's super nice. Super
So
cool.
the first time I met you guys was about 2.5 or 3 years ago now, and at that time we were about to start construction on our dream roastery space, and I'm so happy to be back here because one of the inspirations for me was we have a courtyard area outside of our cafe space, and we ran out of money during the build to actually finish the courtyard properly. So at the moment it's this terrible sloped broken tar area. We just put furniture out there, but the inspiration for me out there was always the same sort of feeling that you have outside of Motors, a pedestrian street type of thing. No fancy furniture, just utilitarian, but really, really cool and Parisian,
In Paris, it's really a thing because in Paris, I know that in a lot of cities there's not a lot of terrace, but in Paris, if you want to have a good business, it's almost mandatory to have a terrace.
Amazing.
Because Parisians love to be outside.
People watching,
people love being outside, even if it's raining or cold. Parisians don't want to be inside.
Yeah, that's super interesting.
They love smoking cigarettes and stay outside. No, but for real, it's cultural. It's a cultural thing, for real.
As your sticker says, Motors Coffee, fucking addictive.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's amazing. So you guys obviously got the business started. Your style of coffee is, I wouldn't say it's completely unique because it's very modern, like very modern approach to coffee. Is that how you started? Did you have those ideas already, or has that been an evolution?
No, we totally evolved because at the beginning when we started Modus Coffee, we weren't that much into specialty coffee. We were more in like good coffee, but not like high end what we're doing right now. So we started with running coffee with Terre de Café.
Okay.
And after 1 year and a half, 2 years, we wanted to like upgrade. At the time we were doing food.
Okay.
We were simple food like avocado toast and bagels, and it wasn't our thing, but it was working. So it was quite hard to take the difficult to stop food because it was still making money, but we didn't really enjoy it. So then COVID happened, and we had to take a break of like 2-3 months closed, and we started thinking, and we decided to move on and like to say, okay, let's stop food. Let's upgrade the coffee quality and only focus on coffee and pastries, and that's what we did.
Amazing. And was the kitchen always downstairs, or was it upstairs in the beginning?
No.
I was cooking a lot upstairs.
Upstairs.
The bar wasn't the same. We did works during COVID.
Okay.
I think COVID helped us a lot to think and say like, okay, what can we do better now? It was starting to work super well with the food, but people were maybe staying too long. We're not like into coffee that much.
Okay.
So we were like, okay, we want to do things better. So we did the works. We changed the pastry disposition. Pastry and cashier was at the end of the shop at the start. And we were thinking like, okay, we should put pastries like at the front and the window of the shop, and doing better coffee. And that's how we started making better coffee. And at the same time, we could pay a Marzocco. At the start we couldn't pay a Marzocco.
Okay.
We hadn't enough money, so we did all the things like little by little. And by doing food at the start, we were able to make enough money to buy a Marzocco. So
that's amazing. So it's like
make more.
Just feeding
more
itself.
Quality.
Because when we opened like with like very few money.
We didn't have a lot.
I can relate.
So
we did a lot of work ourselves as well on the shop. Like all the wall, we did it ourselves. We painted ourselves.
Oh, really? Okay.
Like how do you say like for shoes, like that shoes, like leather shoes?
Yeah.
Cirage, like we put it on the.
Oh,
on the wall.
amazing!
I stole my dad some like shoe varnish to put it back.
Wow,
Yeah.
like shoe polish. Is that
Shoe polish.
Is that on the wall?
Yeah, like the
No
gray
way.
wall is
Gray wall,
like made with shoe polish.
That's so clever.
So but we did lots of things like ourselves.
I can see that you guys are constantly investing back into the business because even since I was last here, you had I think you had 2 EKs on bar. You've now changed them. Well, you kept one, and you've got 2 Weber EG1s on bar now.
Yeah,
You
2
just
Weber,
added the Slayer.
Slayer.
You sold your PB and bought a PBX.
Yeah.
2 group to 3 group. Is that
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Yeah. So that constant investment in the business, which I think, for me when I'm looking at coffee businesses around the world, the businesses where there's constant investments, there seems to be constant growth as well.
the thing is that for me, and I think what is very important is that you cannot ask your baristas to do the best and if you don't give them the best equipment.
Sure.
So we buy the best things that is on market, so they're able to produce like what we feel like the best coffee, and to do it the fastest way possible.
And
Yeah.
they're happy to work
Yeah.
as well, when you give them like good equipments, and you're like, okay, I want you to feel better with like a puck press, some stuff like that maybe other shop don't feel.
When we bought the
don't
Slayer,
need.
everybody was like super
they were-
happy.
yeah.
Like we were like, oh, we're gonna work on a Slayer, amazing.
It's like Christmas.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Exactly. So no €40 pour overs in the beginning, hey?
No.
So I'm really curious to understand a little bit about the market and about your customer base and how it's evolved, because when I speak to a lot of people in Europe, in general, there's this sort of sentiment that most people are into like very traditional coffee, very like maybe a little bit more dark roasted, tighter ratios, like thick crema. Obviously, that's not the case with Motors Coffee. did you find that your customers evolved with you, or have you attracted a new base of customers?
We turned people, like, so much people were taking, like, even, like, an hour ago, a girl told me I throw away my Nespresso machine because now I'm so bougie that I drink coffee every day at Motors and I can't drink Nespresso anymore.
That's why
like,
you have the keychain. I drink my coffee at Motors.
Yeah, exactly.
The thing is that I think Paris in France was very late in coffee.
Okay.
So we have like maybe 10 years of what was London before. But right now, I think like the Parisian coffee scene is like above all the other ones. In Europe for sure, in the world not sure, but in Europe for sure.
Yep.
So I think in Paris now you have better coffee shops than in London, Copenhagen, Amsterdam, in every like major cities. And because of us, because of Clove, because of Substance, because of Kawa, and because of all these little independent coffee shops that are pushing forward, and so there's like a cool coffee shop vibe in Paris of people trying always to do the best. That's cool.
I think it's very French. Like, French love gastronomy. Like, we have a big culture of food. So I think French people want to do things well. It's in our culture to do like food and maybe coffee super well. So maybe we were late, but when people did it, I think like Clove, we did it maybe better than others. Not to be.
I think that's such an interesting view. I hadn't thought of it that way, but you know, if you watch Chef's Table or any of these shows on Netflix or wherever else, whenever somebody is like one of the best, at some point in their career, they were probably in France to learn, exactly. And I can see that level of focus. I think one of the things I took away from my visit a few years ago was seeing the two of you working so hard in your business when you've got such an experienced and hardworking team. It's almost like it's unnecessary in some. So in South Africa, the goal of the business owner is to stop working in your business. That's why you start a business, to stop working in your business. People. Exactly. And I don't have that approach. Merci. Just for our listeners, we're sitting at a lovely coffee shop and roastery called Kawa.
At Kawa.
And, at Kawa.
What are we drinking?
Finca Deborah Ellipse and El Burro Natural Panama.
And a hot
really
chocolate.
Tasty. And hot chocolate. That's amazing.
I have too much coffee at Motors.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I did too, but I'm still drinking.
I like to drink other stuff when I'm on coffee shops.
Nice. I'm normally the same.
There's a boulangerie in front of us, and we have now great girls that doing like amazing pastries. And people come with their croissant because they took it in front.
So they get it across the road.
So we have to tell them like, no food from outside.
Oh, absolutely.
And they get super like pissed off. But
so you guys have an amazing, pastry shop across the road. And people bring pastries into your shop.
Yeah.
In Howick, where our roastery is, we have a KFC across the road, and people try and bring
KFC?
chicken into our shop. Sorry, guys.
Terrible. Huh? You can go back to KFC.
I would rather they
do the
brought
same
a croissant, Okay, amazing. So I think that view on once the Parisian coffee scene started, there was a really, really high focus on quality. From the shops I've visited, I went to Clove, and thank you for the recommendation. I really had a great time. The coffee's great. They're doing a very, very good job and different to what you guys are doing.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? There's space for so many different styles.
Yeah. Paris is a big city. I think there's space like for everybody.
Absolutely.
And we have so much like tourists and visitors that.
And we're so happy to have coffee friends that do the same thing, and they understand us in a certain way. Like,
exactly.
really cool
speak
to
the
speak
same
with
language.
other owners.
Yeah.
Like, people being
I agree.
like jealous, like they're not like good workers because they should have their clients. We have our clients, and we share. Like on the good coffee shop, I think we share our clientele.
Yeah, a lot.
It's pretty funny. I was in Clove yesterday morning, and there was a couple sitting very close to me in the shop. It's a small shop, so I saw them, and I saw the woman from the couple at Motors almost 15 minutes after I arrived. She arrived, so obviously they were drinking coffee at different places. And I spoke to quite a few people yesterday when I was on bar who had they were in Paris for holiday and they were just touring the coffee shops.
Yeah.
They were just going around tasting coffee.
It's a thing now.
Yeah, someone said they've spent over 100 euros already just on brewed coffee yesterday.
Yeah.
And he was shaking. Like
it's a real thing. This is quite new. I think it's happening since like maybe a year. Or there is a lot of tourists doing like a real coffee tour shop.
Coffee tours.
Yeah.
It's really cool because I think food tour is like normal, but for coffee
it's honestly most of the people that really enjoy the kinds of coffee that we do, rather they work in coffee, rather they work in like food industry.
Okay.
A lot of people.
We have a lot of chefs
chefs.
that's coming at the shop.
That's
A lot.
amazing.
We have a good clientele because like random people will not like our coffee because they will think it's more too acidic, so they won't have maybe the palate to have the flavors in the coffee. But like most of the chefs, they have it, so they are super happy with it.
Chefs and everyone who works at Louis Vuitton.
Yeah.
True. They have a good palate as well.
Okay, so talking about the style of coffee, acidity, and I was talking about the fact that your coffee is modern.
Mm-hmm.
What is your approach on espresso? Let's talk about like how you're approaching brewing espresso at the moment.
When I started coffee, I didn't like espresso. So
Okay.
for me, I really didn't like it. I really was into drip pour over. So I wanted to drink my espresso as I drink my pour over. So that's where I started searching everywhere about espresso recipes, trying to understand how to do something more drinkable. Because for me, like a 1-to-2 ratio, 18 in, 36 out in like 25 seconds, for me it's too strong. I'm very delicate. So this is when I first started looking at videos from Coffee Championship, and where I started looking videos of James Hoffman, Lance Hendricks, and understanding the difference of shots, also Jonathan Gagné with the turbo and everything. And yeah, so I started understanding the concept of ratio, the speed, the low pressure, and that's how it turned out that we started doing that at Motors Coffee.
Okay.
So low pressure, low temperature, super long yield, very fast extraction, around maximum 15 seconds.
To
And it
most
does
people, that
a
sounds
great shot.
crazy.
It does a great shot. It's like basically our recipe is like 17 in, 50 out, in less than 15 seconds at like 6 bar, 85 degrees, 88 degrees, and it does like 6 TDS, but with a very young yield, so it gives us like a 22-23% extraction.
Which is amazing, and I think this is something I talk to people about all the time when it comes to brewing coffee. You can get to the same point in so many different ways.
Yeah.
You can get to a 22 or 23% extraction in so many different ways. And again, you know, the conversation I've been having with so many people on this trip that I've been on is, you know, let's talk about the roasting side of things. If you have 10 roasters who buy the same green coffee, they have the same equipment, you're going to get 10 different results with the roasted product. And it's the same thing with brewing coffee. It's about, for me, understanding what you want it to taste like and then figuring out how to get there. And as you said, you were looking for a more drinkable cup that wasn't so intense, but you still want to taste the coffee.
So
and
our
all of
coffee,
it.
if you really like real espresso, like if you like viscosity, mouthfeel, body, you're gonna hate our espresso. But if you're looking for something much more aromatic, much more floral with a balanced acidity, sweetness, and like it's very layered. So when you read on the bags like jasmine, honeysuckle, and like orange, you're really gonna have the free, and you're really gonna taste it.
I completely agree with that. I've had amazing filter coffee in so many shops around the world. I think we brew amazing filter coffee at home, but I can honestly say that your espressos, for my preference, are the best I've ever tasted in a cafe.
Thank you.
Like really
and
good.
That's where you see, like, I think it's not quite easy, but it's much more easier to have a very good drip than have a very good espresso.
Agreed.
Because it's so hard to dial in like the perfect espresso. And the thing is that when you do one drip, you're just doing one drip. But on the espresso machine, we do like 800, 900 drinks a day. So it's super hard to always have that good espresso because there's always variables that change with the day, like the temperature, the humidity in the air, the grinder is getting hot, or so it's hard to being consistent.
You've recently added a Slayer
Yeah.
to your bar. You're already running low pressure long shots, low temperature on your Lamazocco. What was the reason for the Slayer, and what kind of coffees are you working with on that?
That's my idea.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Because it was the end of the year, so in France it's rather you pay taxes
I was going to
or
say,
you
trying to get rid of
invest.
some profits.
So
No, I think he wanted to buy the Strada, the Marzocco Strada. And I was like, nah, I don't like this machine. Sorry, La Marzocco, but this machine is too ugly. Like, I was like, nah, I don't like it. It's not gonna, like, it's not pretty. I don't want it in the shop. I don't like it. But the guys really wanted, like, pre-infusion. Like, they really wanted, we were starting at this time doing, like, special espresso.
Yeah.
So special espresso were working super well, but, like, they wanted this machine, like, to make, like, pre-infusion. So I was like, no, I don't want it. So they went to try, and I was like, maybe we should take a free group Slayer. So there were like kids like super excited. They really wanted the free group Slayer. We were like, oh my god, that's gonna be amazing.
I always want to buy stuff, but Lola is my approval.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, no, this is too expensive. Or and
We all need that.
yeah, every like slow
Yeah,
down,
exactly.
please. Yeah, I'm
She's the adult.
kind
Yeah.
of.
I say the
slow
same
him
thing
down
with Katie
sometimes.
and I, but she has less decision making around how I spend the money in the business, which is a problem.
No,
Maybe I should give her
sometimes
more
I have to
authority.
slow him down. And so we were like, okay, maybe we should take the Slayer free group. So the guys went to Slayer to try it, and it's too slow to like we have too many people to have a Slayer free group. So we were like, okay, maybe we could extend the bar, like put the bar a little bit further, and take a Slayer 1 group. So it was the
compromise.
The compromise, exactly. And so it's what we did. We we've got a guy that's doing all our works at Motors, and we asked him to like extend a little bit the bar on the left side, and just enough to put a Slayer 1 group.
That's amazing.
So
That's amazing.
That's what happened.
Literally just enough to put the Slayer 1 group.
It wasn't fitting.
And if you
at the start.
step backwards, you get a cactus spike right in your butt, which may or may not have happened a few times yesterday. I think you guys have really utilized your space well, and that seems like I was at Sweet Spots in Munich a few days ago, and they've got 2 shops. The one is a bit bigger, the one is very small. And believe it or not, the space behind the bar is even smaller. It's even tighter. It's like doing a dance around everybody, you know, trying to make the workflow work.
Behind.
Exactly. The one thing I have noticed is that your team is like, they seem to be very happy at work. They seem to be in love with working at Motors, and even on their social media pages and everything, there's a sense of pride to be working at your shop. So well done to you guys, because it's not easy to create that culture. I think in hospitality it's more common to find people who hate working in hospitality and their jobs. So I think that's a huge thing.
Cool young team.
A cool young team. Well, I mean, listen, I was joking with my team, joking in air quotes because I think I felt it, but like, it's intimidating coming to work with you guys. Like, I'm not cool enough, man. I'm not cool enough. But I did go to Stussy, and I got the
Why people think we're like
I got the
that?
team uniform, you know. I got
Lots of
the,
people, you're cute. No, we're not. I think we're super simple in a way. Maybe we have a good sense of fashion because we were working in fashion before, but we don't care.
yeah.
Lots of people think we're maybe a little bit Gucci on this, but we're not.
No.
It's just your natural. Some people are just naturally cool.
You're so nice. You're very sweet.
Oh no.
We don't want to look like that. Like for real.
No, I mean, but being on bar with you guys, I can feel it. There's just a genuine like love for the products and love for the work that you're doing. Because if you don't love it, you won't do it. It's long hours. It's hard work. You're putting out hundreds and hundreds of cups of coffee every day, having so many interactions. You have a lot of locals, but there's so many tourists coming through, which is
I think
great.
we have
but it's
50-50.
50-50.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, you have to love it, and I can feel that. Style of coffee, I know you really have very like not strong opinions, but I guess strong opinions about what kind of coffee you want to serve.
Yeah.
What are you guys looking for in coffee?
So it depends if it's on espresso or drip, but mostly espresso, it's always going to be washed because I really don't like natural espressos or like super funky anaerobic. But sometimes we have some, but it's very rare, or like a very clean natural.
Very keen for
But mostly on espresso, it's washed, and after on pour over, we put everything. So it could be to the wash, to the natural anaerobic, to like some super funky coffees. We try to avoid the infused ones or like the co-fermented, even if we all like everybody we did at a point some.
But we were like
at the beginning we were like we
infused, but maybe 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
Ago.
Okay.
Like 4 years ago we were using the.
Diego Bermudez.
4 years ago we were using the first Bermudez that were launched by Manhattan with the Lady, the Luna, the Salma. And like so 4 years ago this was like, whoa, what is this?
It's a different process.
Yeah, it's this could yeah.
No, it's not infused.
But
But
now we stopped and we prefer concentrating ourselves on like more clean coffees.
Terroir.
Terroir, yeah. So you can really feel the you can really taste the farm, where it comes from, and we're happy with that. But everybody does what he does, and so there's coffee shops doing infused and even roasters and stuff, but we're not against it. It's just that we're trying to avoid it.
Okay, I'm with you.
We're trying to do better and better, I think. So it's some, like Diego Bermudez is not infused, but yeah, there's definitely like strong flavors of like peach or like sweets, things like that. So maybe like 4 years ago we were like super happy with these kinds of coffee because it was putting people. It was the beginning of the trend, and people were so amazed with this coffee, and maybe it put some people in specialty coffee. So I think it's not a bad thing, but we try to do like the best and the best and the best product that we can, the best coffees that we can find. So yeah, we prefer like real taste, like real terroir taste.
That's amazing. I love that. You know, we kind of feel the same way. One of the coffees we have with you now is As Funky As We Go, which is an anaerobic natural from Delagua. And when I say As Funky As We Go, that's kind of like the limit. Yeah.
But
you know?
We like to put these kinds of coffee with milk, and it tastes like super cool. And I think depends how you work the coffee. Like maybe like sometimes we're doing like special like flat whites with Luna, and it's incredible because you have a flat white that tastes like blueberry. But in like pour overs or espresso, like we're more on the clean aspect.
I will say, you were talking about like sacrificing a bit of body and texture with the longer shots. I agree. Obviously the viscosity is lower just by the fact that the TDS is lower. But from a texture point of view, from hot all the way through to cold, I find your espressos to be really good. Like silky, I would say the textures are less like, thick, but very silky, very velvety, I would say. It's like that's common...
That's the Slayer effect also.
The Slayer effect.
Yeah. Because on the Slayer, if you even on the Slayer, if you do like long shots, because of the super long pre-infusion, even like a very bad espresso turns super good.
That's
so
cool.
Having a Slayer helps a lot.
Helps a lot. Even so this morning I had an espresso and I wasn't thinking, I was just drinking the coffee, and I was really enjoying it. I was also surprised, not surprised because I don't back myself in our coffees, but it was nice to hear that it was actually our Kenya on bar. But the texture of that coffee was exceptional. Really, really good, and that's even through the linear. So I've just been touring all over the place and tasting the same coffee in all these different shops. And I can honestly say, like, although yes, the TDS is lower, the texture is exceptional. Really, really good. So well done on that. And I'm definitely going to be stealing your approach when I go home now. So as the
water has a huge impact.
Yeah. Okay.
Huge. Okay. Because I try to do some of my recipes other places, like to help friends or stuff, and it's quite super hard to get the same results because of the water.
Or mineral content.
So the thing is that on the Marzocco we have a like 100 ppm, approximately 100 ppm water, but I'm not 100% sure of what's inside.
Yeah.
The total mineral is 100, but I didn't do the test.
Us as well.
But no, the grinder has a huge impact also. The grinder.
Yeah, that's amazing. So we have a Strata at home, the old one, not the new one. I like the old one, but I tend to agree with you on the new one. No.
She doesn't like the new one.
I don't like the new one either.
The new one,
Yeah.
I don't like the new portafilter system.
Is it straight in?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's got the big group head with straight in.
Yeah, just like a Kibi 90.
Okay, I'm looking at one now.
Yeah.
So, I think the question that we always want to know from any business owner is like, what's next?
We're not sure. we really want to open a second one, but the thing is that it's so much hard work that we want to open a second one. But when, where, in Paris, outside Paris, abroad, we don't know.
Come to South Africa. It's close.
Expand the first one. We don't. We want to go bigger, but we're taking it slowly. We have a lot of friends that had a first one, opened a second one, and the second one didn't work. So we don't want to take the risk right now. But we want, but we're looking. We have like people looking for us for places and stuff, but we didn't found right now perfect location.
We don't want to go fast. If the first local that we find the motors we have, it was like okay, this is gonna be a good place, and we want the same with the second place. Like the first place worked so much that we don't want to open a second one, and it's not gonna work that well. Exactly. So we're just looking, and I think one day we will be like, okay, this place is cool. There's something to do here, we'll do it.
Your shop is magic, and it's hard to replicate
magic.
It's
hard to replicate. That's the... We'll see. Maybe we don't know what occasion's gonna to come. If maybe we can open like somewhere else. Maybe sometimes we were like, okay, I would love to have investors and open in New York and like other places in the world. So we don't really know where motors is gonna go.
It's so exciting. I'm so excited for you guys.
There's so much to do. So
exactly.
If you get a cool concept, we do things well. I think so.
Exactly.
And now we have to duplicate it, like
expand the merch range.
Expand, learn.
Yeah.
But I agree and disagree because I think duplicating is super hard. But maybe one day you'll see else somewhere else.
Okay, guys, I'm gonna leave you because there's too much people at the shop.
Well, I was actually gonna wrap this up now because
okay.
I know that you guys are gonna be super slammed in just a few minutes by the Louis Vuitton staff.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
There's Vuitton that's coming now,
exactly.
so I've gotta help
Which
them.
is a daily rush, so that's really exciting.
But you guys can stay together a little bit
All right,
if you
cool,
want,
cool.
And I'm just gonna go and
we'll see you
just
there
gonna
now.
say bye, guys.
Awesome, thank you. So if we've got a couple more minutes, I think I definitely want to bring up a topic that I think a lot of our listeners are interested in, and that's competition.
Oh yeah.
You've had amazing success already at the French Brewers Cup, and I know that you finished second twice, is that right?
Yeah, twice.
Which is the most frustrating place to finish.
Yeah, it's hard.
10th is sometimes better than second.
Yeah.
To feel it yourself, but second is obviously an amazing achievement.
Yeah. Especially because the two times when I lost, it was like 3 points difference. So yeah, it's super frustrating. But
we've had some off-air conversations about this that we won't necessarily broadcast to everybody. But
we're happy right now. I'm actually very happy because the level, and not in every competition, but in brewers in France, the level is right now like super high. Like the girl that beat me last year, Charity, which is the owner of Mauclair, she got fourth at the world.
Wow.
So
by the time you win in France, you've got a good chance of doing well
Yeah.
at Worlds.
So it's good for France.
That's amazing.
The level is not that high in like barista and other things, but in brewers, like the level is super, super high. That's cool.
amazing.
I think it also showcases like the level that we have in Parisian coffee shops right now. So
Is she Paris-based as well?
Oh, she is not Paris-based. She's in Reims.
Okay.
But
Absolutely.
Yeah, same thing.
Same thing.
Same thing.
Yeah. That's really, really awesome. Did you find that the process of preparing for competition helped the evolution of your brewing style in the cafe as well?
Yeah, because the recipe that we are using every day at Motors, like the basic recipe, is one of the recipe I use in competition. And I came up with this recipe by mixing 2 or 3 recipes that I copied on people that did the world before.
Yep.
So by mixing them, I found out a good recipe that works with our workflow, with our water and grinder. And so yeah, it's competition taught me a lot of things. Taught me how to be super efficient, go quick, be super clean. And that's something that I'm trying to learn to all my baristas. Like when you're on bar, imagine that the clients are judges, so everything must be like super clean. Your gest, your movements must be like very coordinate. When you do something, you know why you have to do it. So must be very efficient.
And I can see that. I don't think you'd be able to put out the number of cups you do without that approach. And then a lot of people talk about competition being this like once a year thing where you choose a coffee that you would never be working with normally, and you would do things completely differently to how you do them every day. And for me, that would never sat right. I was never happy with that because it felt like fake. So we built a whole program in our menu around coffees that we would use for competition, and we brewed the same way, and so on and so forth. I can see you've done exactly the same. You could literally grab a coffee off the shelf at Motors and go and compete tomorrow.
Exactly. So all the coffees that we competed are coffees that we have from our menu. So last year when I got second, we had like 20 doses left of the coffee, so you were able to drink it on Motors. But even the coffees that we're having right now at the menu, they're all coffees that could go to competition.
Exactly.
And not maybe win, but maybe be in the like top 3.
Yep. Yeah, which is really cool. I think that's very authentic, and I think it's an approach that has proven to do well. You know, even if you look at people who have had big competition success, what they do after is often focused around competition.
Yeah.
So, for example, Paul Ross or Matt Winton, some of the newer, very like in roasteries right now with Rose and special guests, their coffee menus are very much competition focused.
Yeah.
So they've taken what they've done and they've brought it into their menu. I like it the other way around as well, where you build a menu and then you take it and do well at competition. Yeah.
We're very famous for that because we were talking later, just before, about people doing coffee tour, but we have lots of clients coming only for that.
Okay.
So sometimes we have, especially like Asian people are crazy about it. Sometimes we have Japanese or Korean coming and taking like 5 or 6 coffees, like they share, and they're like, oh, it's gonna be 150 euro of coffee. And
No
it's probably fine for them. So that's super cool.
That's really
because they want to pay money for it and they understand it.
That's where we wish the market was, doesn't it?
Yeah. They know the real value of the coffee.
Exactly.
And how it's hard to get to that point of taste.
Yep.
And that's cool. That's super cool.
So as long as the French government never figures out that it's a luxury item, your tax will stay
Exactly.
low. And,
Exactly.
No, that's really cool. Thomas, it's freezing. We're sitting outside.
Super cool.
It's, I think we need to get back inside and drink another coffee. Thank you so much for your time on
Thank
the
you, guys.
podcast, but also it's been great to work with you, and hopefully we can do it again in the future.
Yeah. Thanks you.
Awesome. Thanks, Thomas.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Coffee Made Me Do It podcast. I had such a great time chatting to Thomas and Lola about what makes Motors Coffee tick, and I certainly can't wait to be back in Paris to visit them once again. I hope that you enjoyed, and we'll catch you in the next one. We've got some great guests lined up from the rest of a very successful Europe trip that I had a few weeks ago. And thank you for listening. Share with your friends. Ciao.